Hey, this is Steve Halleck of TickTocking. As always, you can find me at Steve Halleck on Instagram, and you can find all my watches at TickTocking.com. Now today I have one that I'm actually kind of shocked that I've never reviewed before. I totally thought that I did, and then somebody on Instagram asked me if I would do a video review of it, and I realized that I never have. So we have today a Bethune DB28 Digitale. I've had several of these. This is one of my favorite watches. And I'm gonna run you through some of the cool features and stuff here. Now, I've done, I think, 2 videos of normal DB28s before, so I'm not gonna go too deep into the general kind of DB28 thing. I do happen to have this guy here in case we need to refer back and forth a little bit, but let's stick with the Digitale for a minute. So basically you've got the same general movement as the normal DB28, except this time the movement's on the back instead of the front. And instead of normal hands, you've got this jump hour and minutes here. You've got a moon in the center, and you've got all these amazing blued titanium bits with the stars set in and this really cool guilloche pattern here. So it ends up being a very, very different watch on the wrist than the normal DB28. It's much more kind of poetic, whimsical, versus the very strict kind of technical nature of the normal DB28. Now, fairly simple in reading it and operating and everything. I'll show you the jumping hour jumping. It's manual wind with the crown up here. And we can pull it out and run it here. So, boom. Nice jump. Very easy to read the time. You know, this is quite large, and you know, sometimes they do like a jump hour, but they put it in a tiny little window and you're really searching around for it. So it's really easy to read. The hour is here right next to the minute. So in general, you know, you can read the time just by looking at this little part of the watch. You know, it's 5:05. Another really cool feature that I like about this, and one of the things, you know, that I think was a really, I don't know, a nice added bit, is that it, instead of on the DB28, you know, this has a moon down here, same kind of spherical moon, but it's adjusted with a pusher right there. In the Digitale, the moon is adjustable via the crown. And I always really like that myself. So if you go into position 1, which way does it go here? Yeah, there we go. So you can see the moon coming around. There we have half. And actually it's a full moon tonight, so we'll go all the way through. Oh, and you can see a little tiny selfie of me in it. Anyway, so, and also the moon really changes the character of the watch quite a bit in this version, because, you know, you saw it there. It went from like all blue, and then when it's a full moon, it's really quite bright in that little bit of starry sky there. Another thing that you may not notice in pictures, but it's worth pointing out, this guilloche pattern is really amazing. And it goes from kind of bigger down here into a tighter weave up there. And it's done in such a way that it really catches and plays with the light very interestingly and keeps it from being too white or too silver. It just is a very, very interesting dial. I've never really seen anything like it. And on the wrist, it has a lot of wrist presence and looks very, just kind of very interesting. I get a lot of people that ask me about this watch, almost more so even than a normal DB28, which yes, looks very technical, but this looks kind of rich in a more interesting, or at least a different way to people. So let me show you the watch on the wrist. This one has the short lugs, So like all the DB28 variants, it's available in short lugs or long lugs. And I can show you, I guess now that I have these two next to each other, the differences in how those both sit on the wrist. So maybe actually I'll show you the long lugs of the regular 28 first. So this you can see, they really like spider out, and this is obviously a very, especially in this version, the all polished titanium, super kind of technical, very modern watch. And these lugs are kind of very, well, they're definitely not subtle. They're right there, and they fully articulate, right? So they're really hugging down, but they go all the way to the very edge, even over the edge of my wrist a little bit, which isn't necessarily a problem because they are so, they hug so much. But for people who like a smaller watch or have smaller wrists, it does push the envelope of what you can kind of comfortably fit. Both these watches are extremely light as they're made out of titanium, so they are quite nice to wear, but you can see here now with the smaller lugs, this one really hugs on the wrist. The lugs are definitely not as apparent. I don't know. The others, they're a real kind of design element on the wrist. You definitely notice them. Here they kind of move out of the way a little bit more, and they sort of just function to hold the watch on the wrist, But you can see there, it's really pretty impressive and beautiful on the wrist. It's a really nice watch to wear. I've had the pleasure of wearing these quite a bit, and again, because you have that bit of blue, you've got this beautiful guilloche, it's really easy to read with the big numerals, and then these lugs that are just so comfortable and hug the wrist. It just ends up being a really nice watch to wear, and you can kind of dress it up quite a bit. Like it could be a very dressy watch, but you can also really dress it down. It's a fantastic jeans and white t-shirt watch. So anyway, this is the Bethune DB28 Digitale with a little bit of a cameo from a normal polished titanium DB28 in there. And I hope you enjoyed the review. These are really, really good watches, so I'm happy to share them with you. Thanks.